start the timer. Okay, hello everybody. Everybody can see me? Cool. Can anyone see me? Okay, looks like I'm live. Okay, my talk is going to be a bit less technical. It's more about the business side of things. It's about my VIM-Adventures journey. My name is Doron Linder. I created VIM-Adventures, which I'll show in a second. It's an online game to teach people how to use Vim, kind of like Zelda meets text editing. So thank you for being here. First of all, we start with a little demo. Sorry, can you see my? Sorry. All right. Can everybody see my screen? So this is VIM-Adventures. It's an online game where you can, sorry, stress. Okay, so you play a cursor, this cursor over here, and you can move around or text. You can speak with little people who tell you what you need to do, and you use AJKL to move because it's Vim. You can then pick up motions, like for example, like this one, and then you have a help window which can also show you what happens when you type W in this case. And then you need to use these. For example, you have this E motion and you want to pick it, but inside a circle of stones, so you have to use W to kind of jump over the rocks. And then you continue doing stuff like this. And then eventually you open doors, and when you get to the princess, you get to the next level. If I'm going back here, present. Okay, so this is, in a nutshell, is VIM-Adventures. It's a game that teaches you how to use Vim. Some facts. It started as a side project in 2012. It teaches most of the keyboards. First 3 levels are free, where you have AJKL, W, E, B, capital B, and X. It's a 6-month license, and it costs $25 US dollars. I started, the basic game development, there's much more after that, was completed in 2013, about a year after. But I'm still working on it, additional content soon, and if I have time, I'll show some of it. It's been used by quite a few people. It's been almost a decade now. It's a nice income stream. I'm still contracting, so it's not a full-time job. Anyway, now the regular disclaimer, if you ever read Hacker News, survivor bias, sample size of 1, it didn't make you rich. All of this is correct, but it's a side project which turned into a business, which is kind of cool, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. I'm still doing it, and from time to time between contracts, I'm working on it full time, and I think you'll enjoy the experience. So this is my story. Why should you care? Because I made some mistakes, which is kind of nice in hindsight. And I want to share my experiments, stuff I did with pricing and the architecture. I think that you might find it interesting. And it's a story, it's in the context. And if you do have a side project that you think you want to monetize, then maybe you'll know what to expect. So at the beginning, these are all the things that were going through my mind. The only one which isn't really like a thought bubble is a quote, well, paraphrase quote from my wife. Who is going to play a game to learn how to use a text editor? This is paraphrased. The phrasing was a bit more blunt, I guess. I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here. This is VimConf. But so I was thinking, okay, maybe if nobody plays it, at least I want to learn Vim. This is how I learned Vim while programming the game. So yeah, I'll go for it. and then what texture stack should I use? Would they come if I build it? Would anyone pay for it? I mean, it didn't start as a business idea, but at some point it's really nice if I can make a bit of money out of it. Will it be good enough? And I'm not a game designer or detective / genius 99, never mind. So yeah, it's, the thing is, nobody knows anything until you actually try. And if you don't think that your idea is good enough, then, well, you never know. So I started with a really basic architecture. So you have the browser, the user connects to the site. There's a shared hosting LAMP that's Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. Yay. I tried in 2012 using Node. It couldn't connect to my MySQL database without crashing, so I went with the tried and tested PHP. So I put something online, and I don't know if you've ever read Coding Horror. It's a blog by Jeff Atwood from Stack Overflow fame. If I can show you. So basically it says that you should be embarrassed by the first thing you put online, and this is what it was. Okay. Yep, sorry. Play. Okay, so this was the first version. Font is tiny, images are huge. I mean, you couldn't fit text in here even if you tried. So yeah, this was it. You have to start somewhere, right? And then you have the instructions and stuff like that. It's I'm a bit cringy when I see it, but anyway. So let's continue to present. I put something online, and yeah, I answered some answer with a link to my site, and then someone put it on Hacker News, and then people could join my mailing list, but Gmail stopped after 50 emails because I didn't know there was a limit. But overall, the response was positive because I didn't charge anything. And then I started getting serious. So you need to set up a company, accountant, and set up backups, terms and conditions. You have to integrate PayPal or Stripe or any other payment provider. And yes, that's a good one. We'll get back to that. And it starts the cycle of rewrite after rewrite after rewrite, because each time you do something, you start with a simple AJKL. And then, okay, I'm doing R and then a character afterwards. So there's like, it's still simple. It doesn't change the world. But then you add the D motion, the D command, and then followed by a motion. And then you have to start changing texts in the game. And then the text gets bigger. And then you have to add counts. And then you have to add registers. And then all of a sudden you have buffers. And buffers is a completely new kind of world within the game, and you have to switch between them, and input mode, and then dot and undo and redo. And I already did macros. Well, it's not in the game right now, it's an extension, we'll talk about that later. But this is only the parsing of the command. There's state management, there are effects. How do you know if you even identify tilde and caret correctly? I mean, you have to support Devorak and I don't know, German, Swiss layouts, and some of them are using the and the caret as accents on letters. So JavaScript doesn't just tell you, hey, yeah, this is the key, someone press tilde. So you have to start mapping stuff. It's mental. And what about the slash and the just keyboard input? If you use slash, it's fast search on Firefox, or Control R. You don't really want to refresh the entire page. So there's a lot of work going on there. This was a nice thing I found out the hard way. If you look at these two lines, if you're at the beginning of the first line, and then you go the dollar to the end of the line, and then you press it to go down. So do you expect the cursor to be on the G in or at the E at the end of the second line. So for some reason, I was sure that it's going to go to the G, because that's like the furthest that I got in the line. But apparently, when you press $, it's kind of sticky, so you end up on the E at the end of the second line. So at that point, and I think it was about level 11 or 9, I don't remember, out of 13 in the game, 14ish. So I didn't have auto testing, and I ended up playing the game for like a few good hours, which wasn't really fun. I mean, it is fun, but you learn and you have time, but still you have to kind of cover all the bases. So right now, what I'm doing is of this. This is kind of game. If I refresh the page, and hopefully you'll see it in a sec. Okay, so this is the start of the game. It just runs really quickly through everything. I don't know if you, I mean, the water.
Hey, Doron.
Yeah.
Do you think you could turn off just the video part on Restreamer? Your audio's cutting out every once in a while, and it seems like maybe you're having a upload bandwidth problem. So just go ahead and turn off the video part. Yeah, just turn off the camera, but leave the microphone on.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll
so everybody can hear me but not see me. Okay.
Yep. So we can still hear you. That's great. Go ahead and head back over and keep doing your presentation. Thanks.
Cheers. Okay, so this is automated testing, which I mean, usually you don't do automated tests on games, or at least that's what the internet tells you. And I mean, there's also a point with a T and semicolon, but yeah, that's just for bonus points. And then I started experimenting with the price. So I started with $5 while game was in development, and then I raised it to $9.99. And then for a really short period, it was almost $15 and $25. The final level was released in 2013. Even though it was always kind of, this is the license for $6 since from when the game's development ends. I kept it until 2015, so people who bought early got like 2 years free for the whole game. And I got multiple weird reactions. I mean, one of them, how dare you charge for TG2, which kind of made zero sense to me, but whatever. People said that for $5 they want to own it forever, which I kind of get. It's more problematic from my perspective, business owner. I mean, people share licenses, and there's a lot of problems. And besides, if for some reason all the servers are down, how can I provide something forever if it's not on your machine? I mean, lots of problems. And there was also, if you lower your prices, you'd probably get much more money, which is a fair thing to think. So I did some experiments, right? I added a 30-minute license. It starts when you log in and it stops when you log out. So you're actually paying for 30 minutes of actual playtime, right? This one was $5. It was a huge effort across the UI, backend, payment processor, emails. How do you think it affected sales? I'll tell you how. After a few days, where buying basically stopped completely. No one bought, not the regular license, not the 5 minutes license. Well, it's actually one person bought it, but it wasn't at that time frame. But I'll get to that later. It's a funny or not so funny story. Well, in hindsight. So yeah, this basically stopped all sales. I reverted everything a few days after. So I was thinking, okay, I'm currently living in London. My company is in London, and I mean, most of the people are in the US. So instead of asking for dollars, maybe I should ask for GBP, pound sterling, Great British Pound. And then the customer would pay the conversion rate, but I lower my price so that it will cost much less, right? It makes sense. So I even priced it so that it will cost much less for the customer, right? I left it for a month, and how do you think it affected sales? Sales dropped by 30%. I mean, wow. I mean, you actually, I actually tried to make it even cheaper, but no, they just about the same price, and the sale just dropped, which was kind of, wow, hurtful. Anyway, other things that I came across. CDPR is a great thing as a customer. I don't want companies to save my information forever. I don't want everybody to follow me. I want to have the right to protect myself. But as a business, I have two problems. One, I can't save personal information that is unnecessary, which is cool, but it just means I have to go back and make sure I don't have anything in the database that shouldn't be there. But the most problematic part is that I can't transfer customer personal information outside of the EU. So if we were visiting the architecture I had, the shared hosting server was in the US with the database of everybody. I mean, everybody, it's just the email list, yeah, the email address. I didn't really save anything personal there, but still, mailing list is personal identify information. I can't save it in the US. So I had to split. So now I have a dedicated LAMP server in the EU, which is according to the GDPR and the email sending and everything. But the static assets are still in the US, which is fine because I didn't want to move servers and everything. So anything user related, log in, log out, you pass the next level to the next level, and there are stats. It's not in the US anymore. Now it's in the EU. And then COVID happened, and someone had too much time, and then I got this email. Dear VIM-Adventures, I would like to use your site for some project. I need this and this licenses for something. Should I buy the license or maybe use the hacked free version instead? Wait, what? Okay, so if we revisit the architecture, the problem was that the game runs in the browser. It started as a side project. I never intended it to begin with to be like a business. So everything was running in the browser. And as you know, everything that runs in the browser, then eventually, even though it's minimized, minified, and everything, someone would go through everything and make sure it runs only on their machine, and maybe even make it easier for others to just get it for free, which is kind of annoying from a business perspective, but also, hey, I worked on this for like 9 years now. It's kind of not okay to just give it for free. So what I had to do is to move everything to the server side. Now, I'll go through the pros. I mean, I could have, I don't know, invested in a bit more protection, minifying the text if the browser is connecting to the right server and everything. But there were other reasons why I moved it to the server side, and I'll get to this in a second. But so now I have a static access in the US. The server, the user with data, the server is in the EU. And then I have a node server in the US running the game server side, to which the browser connects with WebSockets and then pass on the partial state. So all the game logic is now in the server, which was a huge project, okay? So why did I move to the server side? It's a huge effort. Users don't get immediate value. I mean, if anything, it can get worse in a way. I mean, you get a lot of new problems with the new architecture, and bugs do creep in. I mean, I took something that I wrote over 9 years, and I mean, I wrote, changed, and it was a mess, and I had to move it to a server, make sure it worked without assuming stuff just work on the browser. The plus side is that it protects the business. I mean, I can still get a bit of money from selling licenses. I can rebuild it better and improve. So more functional programming, more immutable state. And the actual reason I did this is that it opens new future possibilities, which I'm really excited about. But first of all, new architecture, new problems. Dear VIM-Adventures, are you aware that your site is down? Thanks, something I should really thank. And yes, it's always the mail I see last before I go to sleep at 2 a.m. So I logged into the site, and then I see that the HTML is there, but for some reason I can't connect to the WebSocket. It doesn't work. For some reason the server is kind of looks down, so I SSH in, and the server is actually up. And then I run top, and I see that Node is running at 100% CPU. And yeah, little Bobby tables. I mean, it's not an SQL injection, but you should always sanitize your data. And this is one of the problems you face when you start as a hobby project, which you didn't design for scale, or not to run in everybody's browser. Because if somebody did something really, let's say he tried to delete 1,000 lines, right? So his browser would get stuck, right? But it doesn't affect anybody else. But if he tries to do it when I'm on the server, then the site is down, which is less nice. So I had to, log into the to SSH in, look into the site, into the node inspect, and as you can probably see here, I didn't sanitize the time, so somebody ran quite a few. Quite a few line deletions, and I mean, now it works, but it's something that I didn't think about when I was running in the browser. Yeah. Other than that, the future. So I already did. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this yet. So I have a new level with macros, and I have new challenges. But now that I'm on the server side, I can do like really cool stuff, like rotating challenges. I can do competitions. I can do some kind of cooperative mode or multiplayer, which is kind of really excites me. And let me show you. I think I can show this. If logging in, so this is the new, I mean, it's still a work in progress, okay? But if, for example, there's a capture the flag. So let's assume this text, okay? Usually it's going to be 60 seconds, but I went with 10 seconds so that I can show you. For example, if now I go down like this, it's kind of, I'm not using the best motions to get anywhere. Yeah, I think my personal best is better than 2 flags, but as I said, a work in progress. But the nice thing is, if I want someone to show me better, then hey, you can use 15G, or you can do, I don't know, sorry, that's the next flag, but you can also do this, like jump to line or 15GG. And if you're not sure about what G does, then you have help, like you had before, which is kind of nice to learn stuff. And then you can basically go through all the, you see in red what you did, and in green what is a better thing to do. Yeah, and you can also do this, or this. So it kind of, if you're not that familiar with all the motions, or you need kind of a refresher on stuff that you already learned in the game, then yeah, you can use this. And there's also macros, which hopefully I protected better than I did with the Bobby table stuff. Yeah, so this is what I plan to do in the future, so I'm pretty excited about that. One more thing, I mean, the next slide is the thank you, but I'll just say one more thing about mobile app or a mobile version, because everything should have a mobile version, right? So I'm not proud of it, but I probably wasted about a year transferring VIM-Adventures to be a mobile site where you can play on an iPhone 5 on the tiny screen. And I did a lot of optimizations around the like the graphics and not drain the battery. And there was a special keyboard, which I can't show you right now, that helped you tap on the right places in the screen. But as you probably know, none of you saw this version because apparently not everything needs to be a mobile app, right? The main thing about VIM-Adventure that it trains muscle memory. And if you can't, I mean, you can't train tapping on the screen because it doesn't make sense. That's not how you use Vim. So this is why I don't have a mobile app, even though I wasted quite a lot of time and gained quite a lot of knowledge regarding to how to do that. And that's me. Thank you very much.